Hello, and welcome back to yet another Star Trek review to wrap up the end of this month. So, yes, we have finally made it to the third and final season of Star Trek the original series as a first time watch for myself. Let's get started with my series 3 of TOS review because uh, it's been a struggle to get through with how terrible some of these episodes are from season 3, which I, in retrospect, knew about going into it. I knew season 3 wasn't going to be the actual best. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of episodes so far for me that I've watched that have been a real slug to get through. So let's start off with the first episode of this season, Spock's Brain. This is an episode that I have been warned about for years. Even my own mother warned me about how terrible of an episode Spock's Brain is. And after finally watching it for the very first time, I can say it's not that bad. I know an episode that fans collectively agree is one of the worst episodes of Star Trek. I, the guy with the most controversial movie takes in this community, actually kind of like the episode. Yes, there are bits of it that are annoying, but other than that, I actually didn't mind the episode. Um, it wasn't as bad as people were saying because I went in with no expectations and it turned out to be an okay episode. So that's something, I guess. But the next episode, the Enterprise incident, I can 100% say, as I put this back, is a fantastic episode. The episode where we finally, after not seeing them since the Balance of Terror, get a Romulan episode. You know, it's about time. We got the one episode in season 1, seen hide nor hair of them in season 2, and then we finally get some in season 3. Unlike with the Klingons, which have had one episode in season 1, um, about 3 episodes in season 4, and I don't know how many episodes in season 3. I think one or two so far. Um, for me anyway, where I'm at. But yeah, it was a fantastic episode. Kirk acting irrationally, them going into the neutral zone, seeing a bird of prey, but also seeing Klingon D7s, which they do make mention of, and it's they're like, oh, I guess the Romulans must have a trade deal with the Klingons. And I do know the in real world explanation for it. They wanted more other ship designs for this, but after they finally made a Klingon ship, they're like, well, there's no budget for it, so you either have the D7 show up in the Klingon based episode and just use the bird of prey that was used in Balance of Terror, or we use them in this episode as well as the next episode. So that's obviously what happened. But yeah, really, really did not expect the twist, of Kirk faking it, just for him to then be altered to look like a Romulan, to be then of course go and steal a cloaking device. Thought that was pretty cool. Bit strange that they forgot that the Romulans can cloak, given the fact that they again in Balance of Terror, that's what we see. Um, but otherwise, a really, really good episode. The next episode is the Paradise Syndrome. Now, one thing I should make mention about when I go to watch these videos, these episodes on these DVD files that have exactly 3 episodes on it, it gives a blurb of the episode, and I read the blurb, and that's how I base whether or not I'm going to like an episode. And I read the back of this, and I was like, oh, dealing with, Native Americans in space, I'm probably not going to like this episode. And then I watched it. I again went in with no expectations, fully expecting to hate this episode, but I came out actually really liking it. I thought it was a good episode. Kirk, these people seeing Kirk as a god, um, and so on and so forth. Just seeing him, losing his memory and trying to acclimate to this world with these people. I thought it was a very good episode. Shame cannot be said about the children shall lead the next episode, which I thought was absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Again, mainly because of the child actors. Nothing against child actors. It's just some of them cannot act, and it's not just in Star Trek. It's in big, wide medium. Now, there are a lot of good child actors, a lot of the people that worked on shows, Nickelodeon and Disney Channel shows, Dylan Cole Sprouse, who worked on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and The Sweet Life on Deck. We have, then, of course, there's the iCarly gang, the Ned's the Classified School Survival Guide gang, all those really good child actors. Josh Peck as well from Drake and Josh. But there are times where that's not the case, that with the Doctor Who Nightmare in Silver episode of season 7, the To Kill the Moon in season 8, and this actual episode, and The Children Shall Lead, having these children basically do this to take control and stop things from happening. It's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever seen. Who wrote this? Edward J. Lasco wrote this episode. It was shit. I think I've said that enough. It was shit. The next episode, is there truth? Is there in truth no beauty? Another episode that I read the blurb of, was like, okay, this sounds interesting. I might like this episode. I hated it with every fiber of my being. I absolutely hated it with every fiber of my being. It's worse than Spock's brain, but not as worse as "And the Children Shall Lead." There at least it's that bit better than "And the Children Shall Lead," but worse than Spock's brain. So the next one that I actually liked, and it was an episode I roughly knew of, and that is Spectre of the Gun. The Enterprise is going for the Melkoshians. Then Chekhov, Spock, McCoy, and Kirk get beamed down into what is essentially the Battle of the OK Corral, and it's all in this big figment of imagination where these guys, where the landing party is seen as these are the people from the OK Corral, and Chekhov dies, but it turns out he didn't. It was a really good episode, really really good episode, fantastic ending. So far to me the best episode of this season. But also another good episode after this is Day of Honor, or sorry, Day of the Dove, which is another Klingon episode with Kang, who obviously has gone on to make reappearances in Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager, and I'm pretty sure some video games as well. But it's a very good episode. Again, this one, I think this is the one that shows us the D7 for the Klingons, the first time we see a proper Klingon ship, and just them fighting aboard the Enterprise and getting badly injured but also miraculously healing at the same time because of this alien entity, and then Kirk trying to broker preach peace with Kang. Very good episode, fantastic episode. The next episode, however, for The World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky, is shit. This is the episode where McCoy gets diagnosed with this incurable disease, and there's this big meteor that's also a planet that has a bunch of people on it, and McCoy falls in love, and then because it's also in pursuit of crashing into another planet, and it was shit. It was just absolute shit. Next, we have the Tholian Web, an episode I really loved. It's all about the USS Defiant and it being caught in this phasing out between one universe and another, which we now know being the mirror universe, but in the distant past because of the Tholians of the mirror universe. And I didn't think we'd see a Tholian in this episode. The face of the Tholian. Again, I'm watching the original effects with these DVDs. It's not the remastered versions that is on DVD, Blu-ray, Netflix UK, and Paramount Plus. These are what I have in my collection, and this is what I'm watching it on. And I much prefer it that way. I much prefer getting to experience the original effects. Anyway, Tholian Web is now probably my favorite episode of this season so far. The next episode, Pluto's Stepchildren. This one is very significant because it's the first interracial kiss on TV at the time. And I know the networks were fighting very hard against that, and they were trying to do multiple different takes, and Shatner, I believe, intentionally fucked it up, so that way the only shot that they could use was that kiss. But yeah, it's an alright episode. It's not terrible, it's not that bad, but it's not on par with some of the greater episodes, if you get me. But middle of the road. Wink of an Eye, however, an episode that I wasn't sure if I was going to like, and again, like Pluto's Stepchildren, it's not bad. It's not worse, but it's the episode where the Enterprise is tricked going to answering a distress signal because these species somehow, because of some calamity, are now 5 or 10 times the speed of regular people, and so they end up getting Kirk to acclimate to that time because the princess wants to mate with him and all that. And it's an alright episode. It's not as bad as some of the episodes in the beginning of this season, but it's pretty okay. It's pretty okay. And now, unfortunately, we get to two really terrible, absolutely terrible episodes. Starting with the Empath. This episode is just shit. It's so shit. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm just going to move on to the next terrible episode, which is Alan of Troyes, which again is the worst episode of this season. I will definitely say Alan of Troyes so far. Again, I still have 9 episodes to go as of recording this bit, but Alan of Troyes is the worst episode of season 3 so far. I absolutely hated it. It was a slog to get through. When I checked the time code and it said only 15 minutes had passed and I had another 30 to go, I was like, here for fuck's sake. I've never, when watching these Star Trek episodes, wanted to switch it off more than I have with this one. I've never done it. I've never switched off an episode of Star Trek unless it's one I've already seen or unless it's one I'm not that much in the mood for. Again, usually an episode I've already seen 100 times. But with Alan of Troyes, I was this close to turning it off. It was that shit. It was just one of the worst episodes and one of the people that we first see, green body paint, blondish hair. He looked straight out of the video game Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Of the hilarious character customization that you can do it even reminded me of um oh, what was his name? What's his name? The fan, the adoring fan from again Oblivion, and it was just it was just bad. It was so shit. It's definitely the worst episode of this season. Um, Thankfully, the next two episodes are actually good. The next episode after Alan of Taurus is Whom Gods Destroy. And it's a very good episode dealing with this captain who has gone batshit crazy on this mental institute planet, and Kirk and Spock beam down. He can take the shape, the form of these people, and when he tried to beam back up to the Enterprise to take control of the Enterprise, they have, they obviously have this code phrase, Queen to Queen 3, I believe it was, and I thought it was a really good episode. Jim trying to make this captain who was very well revered, and to the point where some of the missions he went on is required reading material at Starfleet Academy. Um, Try to get him to come back to his senses, and eventually, they outsmart him and they give him the medicine to get rid of what was wrong with him, and he's basically at the end of the episode he's on that recovery path to become a member of society again. I thought that was very, very good. Now the last episode that I have seen as of the 25th is Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. This is an episode I have been gleefully waiting to watch because I have been told time and time again just how much of a brilliant episode this is, as well as, a social commentary for the time, with depending on which side the black or white is on your right side. And it was really, really well done. Obviously, if you've seen my scissor reel at the beginning of this month, I used a clip from Let That Be Your Last Battlefield for that particular reason. I knew going into it I would love this episode, and I did. It's a really, really good episode. Didn't think it was going to end the way it did, but which was a nice twist. Um, but yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Okay, so it's been about 2 days since I last filmed for this, and I still have 4 episodes to go. I'm now doing it at 2 episodes a day, so I still have Friday, and then Saturday I'll be finished with this video, just in time for this to go up today slash Monday. So yeah, let's talk about the next couple of episodes because I have some interesting things to say. So, the episode after Let That Be Your Last Battlefield is The Mark of the Gideon. And it's an alright episode. The Federation are finally invited to this planet. Kirk is the only one that's allowed to beam down. He beams into what looks like the Enterprise, but without the crew. And the crew are trying to beam down, get permission to beam down, and all that stuff. And it's an alright episode. It's an episode that shows us a species that have evolved so much that they just can't die. And so what they want to do is they want to introduce this disease to them, but also cure it in a way, and it's just okay. The next episode, however, That Which Survives, is another terrible episode. Um, yeah, there's not been a lot of good episodes in my opinion of season 3, and I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done these 3 videos the past 3 months because Jesus Christ, season 3 has been a slug to get through. I mean, I'm literally leaving it until a couple of days before this video is due out. And yeah, anyway, That Which Survives, shit episode. Um, A decent episode though is The Lights of Zetar. Um, it was decent. Not the greatest, not the worst. Certainly not the worst of this season, but pretty okay. The same with Requiem for Method Methusian Husia. That one there. Um, it's just okay. Again, there's not much for me to say. It's okay. It's not the worst. It's not the best. But it's what I'm to expect for season 3 of the original series of Star Trek. But the next episode, The Way to Eden, I just literally not long finished watching it, and it's the main reason why I wanted to record this right now, so is that I don't forget. It's not The Way to Eden isn't a bad episode. This is the episode that has hippies and all that. But it's laughably bad. Um, I still found some enjoyment in this episode, but yeah, with the whole hippies, if I was uh captain of the Enterprise and these fuckers were there and kept chanting Herbert, Herbert, I'd have fucking turned to the transporter in chief and said, you know what, fuck this. I don't care if one of these guys is an ambassador's son that we're currently in peace treaties with. Beam these wankers into space, let them die. Because that's how I felt for the vast majority of this episode. Because it's again, when this episode came out, it was 1969, in the height of the hippie craze, as it was slowly starting to die down by this point. But it makes sense, for the time that this episode came out, that they would have a hippie centric episode. And yeah, it was laughably bad. Even some of the prosthetics on the main Doctor Sargent or whatever his fucking name was, the guy with the weird looking ears, the prosthetics on that just looked bad. And when Adam, one of the hippies, is found dead, you literally see his finger twitch. So technically, he's still alive. But no, he is dead. It's just the actor, his finger twitched. The music in it was okay for the most part. Didn't find anything wrong with it. Um, but again, the prosthetics on one of the guy who was the ambassador's son. Uh, does it show them? No. Yes, actually, kind of. Because as you know, each episode, uh, this guy right here, which you can't really see. The prosthetics on his forehead makes him look like a fucking Neanderthal caveman. It is that bad. Okay, so it's been a day, hence why again, costume change, and I have now finished season 3 of Star Trek: The Original Series. Boy, howdy, has it been a slump. So yeah, I've already gone through the past 20 episodes, and now it's time to cover the last 4. And it, the episode 21 and episode 22 are well, episode 21 anyway was a mixed bag for me, and that is the cloud miners. Where they go to this planet that has people living on the surface that are do the mines, and these people called Stratos that live in the clouds, kind of like Cloud City in Star Trek, and not in Star Wars, not Star Trek, but done before that. And yeah, it just wasn't all that interesting, to be quite honest with you. But the last 3 episodes, however, almost make up for how bad season 3 has been for me. Where, as you know, I've talked about how most of the episodes for season 3 were absolute shit. But these last 3 episodes I actually really, really enjoyed. So the next episode is the Savage Curtain, the Abraham Lincoln episode that not only has him, but Surak of Vulcan and Kalesh of Kronos. Really, actually, I thought, as I've said throughout this video, going into these episodes, I do read the blurbs on the back of the DVD files, so I know I'll have a idea of whether or not I'm gonna like an episode. And again, like with the rest of this season, most of or even at season two and season one, uh, most of the time I'm actually pleasantly surprised that I actually liked the episode. I really did like this episode. I would have liked to see more of Kailash, but I have TNG to look forward to for that one. Um, Overall, the Savage Curtain, really, really good episode. The next episode, all are yesterdays. Really, really good episode. Really, really enjoyed it. Um, it was. Oh, by the way, the previous episode, the Savage Curtain, was kind of written by Gene Roddenberry. The teleplay was by Gene Roddenberry. So praise for that episode compared to the last couple of episodes of season two that I absolutely roasted last time. Anyway, all our yesterdays. I actually really enjoyed this episode. I think I've seen the end clip of it for sure. Um, but yeah, I liked it. Not much more really to say. But the last episode, Turnabout Intruder, I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought it was absolutely amazing. As even though it's not the series finale that we deserved, getting to wrap up everything and all that, because after Turnabout Intruder, the show got cancelled. Um, but it was a really, really good episode. It gave William Shatner another excuse to uh, break away from playing Kirk. Getting to play a more uh, batshit crazy version of Kirk, even more so than from The Enemy Within in season one and Mirror Mirror in season two. He's playing a different character, playing Kirk, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. And that is it. I have now watched all 79 episodes of Star Trek, excluding The Cage, because my DVD copies did not include The Cage, and I much rather watch The Menagerie Part 1 and 2 than The Cage. I still may do a review on The Cage, but we will have to wait and see. So, yes, we are now done with the original series reviews. So, what's next? What am I going to be reviewing after this? And to be quite honest, I'm not going to be reviewing Star Trek full seasons for quite a while. I'm still going to be doing, I'm still going to finish off Strange New Worlds until that wraps up on August 10th. And then, of course, in September, when Lower Deck starts up, I'll, of course, be reviewing that weekly until the new year. Because, for the past few months, I've been doing a lot of Star Trek content, by reviewing the movies and doing these season reviews. That I'm literally finishing this up on the Friday where my Star Trek Beyond review just went up. So I've finished the movies, I've finished reviewing TOS, and yeah, that's going to be it for me until the new year. And then in the new year, I will more than likely review the animated series, um, and then move on to next gen and all that. But we will wait and see. So overall, now that I've watched all 79 episodes, what do I think of the original series? I'm glad that I gave it a shot. I really am glad that I finally, sat through and watched every episode, despite how bad season 3 was. And so I just got distracted because my window's open and it is now lash and rain. Um, but yeah, I did have a good time going through season one, season two, not so much with season three. So I would say season two is the best season of the original series by far. There was for me, a massive stretch of episodes that I thoroughly enjoyed. Then, of course, season one, because season one has a lot of your classic episodes. And then season three, not so much. I kind of wish that I didn't have to go through all of season three, being 100% honest with you. But there are some good episodes in season three. Just a lot of shit ones that made me realize, oh, I can see exactly why this got cancelled. Not only was it because, you know, they kept changing when it was airing, but because the writing for season 3 was so bad. Really, really bad. I think I liked maybe 1% of the 24 episodes of season 3. And that is going to wrap up this review. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you tomorrow for my scissor reel for what reviews I'm doing in August. I'll see you all next time.